There seems to be this thing about having a turbo cam versus an NA cam. Is that even a thing?
I'm fairly famous for telling people that every cam is a turbo cam.
Yeah.
And the reason that came about is because I've done lots and lots of testing. And think about it this way rather than thinking about cams.
Okay.
Can you put a turbo on an NA Supra?
Yeah.
Can you put a turbo on an NA RB motor or a Barra or anything?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's no motor that we know of that you can't put a turbo on, right?
Right.
Did we ever even consider the camshaft? No, all of those camshafts are now turbo cams because not only do they work, but they work in exactly the same manner. And by same manner, what I mean is if you run a motor naturally aspirated and it makes some kind of power curve,
okay.
if you add boost to that, forget about the cam timing or anything in the valve events, any of that stuff.
Yeah.
If you have this motor and it makes this kind of power curve, and then you add 10 pounds of boost to it, and if you add 10 pounds of boost everywhere to the motor, all it does is do exactly that same thing. It's just making more power. The shape of the curve is exactly the same thing. It makes power in exactly the same RPM. It just makes more because you've added 10 pounds to that.
Yeah.
Well, that camshaft works fine with that turbo, right?
Right. Okay,
now if we change the cam, forget about whether it's a turbo cam or not.
Okay.
We put a different camshaft in it. We put a 272 cam or whatever in a 2J or an RB, and now it loses power down low, but makes a lot more power up top on an NA motor. Let's say. Okay, so we have a new shape of our NA power curve, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now we add 10 pounds to that.
Okay.
Everywhere, assuming that we can get the turbo to spool up because we just softened the bottom end.
Yeah.
But let's say that we could. So now the 10 pounds is that same new shape, but just better everywhere. So you'll end up making more power on the top compared to the stock cam because you put a cam in it, which made more NA power.
Mm-hmm.
And every cam that I have ever tested, and trust me, I've done more of this kind of back-to-back testing than probably anybody in the country because they don't do this.
Yeah.
If you ask somebody, hey, look, we get this a lot from cam experts. Oh, I ran this cam in my turbo thing and it made 1,200 horsepower. I'm like, great. I have two questions for you. Did you have a 1,200 horsepower turbo on it? Yeah, I did. Okay, so that's what really did that.
Yeah.
And also, 3 questions. Did you try any other cam? No. And did you run this motor NA to see what it did before you added the turbo? And they never do that. Nobody goes to the trouble of running the motor. What I do is I run the motor like with a stock cam, let's say.
Right.
I put the turbo on it. I run it under some boost or multiple boost levels with the stock cam. I take the turbo back off. I do a cam swap. I run it again NA with the new cam and then put the turbo back on and now run it at all of those same boost levels with the new cam. So we have all of the data. So I know what the cam did NA, and lo and behold, when we add boost to it, it's exactly the same. It just makes a lot more power because we made a lot more power NA with the cam. Let's say like on our cams, we have cams that add to a 5.3. One will add 50, one will add 60, one will add 70 or 75.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you add boost to that, you get a multiplier effect. So the camshaft that adds 75 horsepower, if you add 14.7 pounds of boost to that, you will gain double that over a stock cam.
I see what you mean by multiplier now.
Yep. Because that's all that boost is.
Yeah.
Boost is just a multiplier. So if we have a 300 horsepower motor and we run 14.7 pounds of boost, one more atmosphere, and everything is right. You have to have enough octane, you have to have intercooling, you have to have all that stuff.
Yeah.
And everything is right. Your 300 horsepower motor will now make 600. That's what they do. And it's not just a JDM thing or a domestic thing or LS thing or big block Chevy. It's all of them. Every motor that I've ever tested does this formula. There are some, usually imports, that do better than that. Some of them respond better, I think, because they have much better cylinder head relative to the other thing, their displacement, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So they can do a little bit better. But that should be your bogey. Like if you are doing things and figuring things out and you run this boost level, that's why I run it NA. So I know that when we add 14.7, if it didn't double it at least, then I go, okay, what is wrong? What do I now need to look at to solve this problem? Because obviously it's not doing what I expect of it. Is the turbo too small? You know, what's going on here?
Yeah.
I don't ever even look at we could look at the valve events and stuff. But when I get in this argument with the cam experts all the time, I'm like, that's good. You can talk to me about opening and closing and when the blowdown is. And we're, a lot of guys say you can't have any overlap in a camshaft because it'll bleed all the boost out the exhaust. I'm like, well, here's why that can't happen. Back pressure is higher than boost pressure. So if it's going to go in any direction, it's going to go the other direction when there's overlap. And I said, and also that doesn't happen. I mean, it can happen if you did it excessively.
Yeah.
And there are cams that will not work as well, but they're also really, really high RPM cams that want to run out there anyway.
Yeah.
If you get it out there and can get the turbo spooled up and you get it out there, the boost multiplier will still work, even on cams that are like really NA cams. Same thing with nitrous. And this all occurred to me long ago. I ran a 5-liter Mustang, and I ran this one cam that I like to run in, which is a comp cam.
Okay.
And I ran it NA. I ran it with nitrous. I ran it with a Vortex supercharger, and I ran it with a turbo. And lo and behold, it worked on all of those. I'm like, oh, so there isn't a specific cam that we have to run that's not going to work. And I've run every stock LS cam with a turbo. None of those cams were designed for a turbo. And this is the challenge that I always throw out to all the cam experts. Look, I will walk into your place of business, Comp Cams, BTR, Texas Speed, Cam Motion, whoever. I'll walk into your place of business. You steer me over, blindfold me, steer me over to where your cams are on the shelf. I will pick a cam at random, and I will do this test, and it will do exactly what I'm saying. Because every time that I've done this, it has done exactly that. Until somebody shows me a cam where that doesn't happen, every cam's a turbo cam.